Oh, please, come sit. I must tell you a story. It will only take a bit. We start with a young two wheels, so full of life and vigor, when he first opened his computer, when it was much, much bigger. Inside it was dusty, neglected and messy, all the cables plugged in with a frenzy. Digging inside, our young two wheels had no idea what was what, but was in there to heal. He was armed with knowledge passed down from the greats. Linus Tech Tips consumed at an alarming rate. Once he was done, the computer looked rather clean, but his eyes they did glint with an excited sheen. Obsessed with computers was the young boy's fate, staying up all night, much too late. He scrimped and he saved at his first occupation, determined to build a PC that staved off temptation. Finally he'd done it, saved up enough, filling up his cart with all the right stuff. As they arrived, he filled up with glee, ready to build his ultimate PC. But that was 2016, quite a while ago. He had no idea all the computers he'd know. So with that said, we come to now, with two wheels use tech, ready to wow. So I sell a lot of computers to first-time computer users. It will be their first little baby steps into the PC enthusiast space. So it kind of makes me think occasionally about my own little PC adventure and where I've come from and the different computers that I've used and built and messed with throughout the years. So I thought it'd be interesting to see the now tech prodigy two wheels use tech and his little baby steps and missteps in his little computer adventure. Until I was 16, I didn't really have a desktop. I kind of kicked around from one laptop to another. Most of them were fairly unmemorable school computers that weren't really built for gaming or working on or doing anything interesting with. So until I was 16, I really didn't have a gaming or PC desktop. All I had was laptops. I would go from one school laptop to another school laptop. At one point I had a gaming laptop that was several years old and was kind of near its end of life. But in 2016, when I was 24, when was I 16? That's 6 years ago. So that would be 2014.
No. Yes.
Yes.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Oh. But in 2014, I got my first desktop. I was a 16-year-old boy, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. My father went out on a Craigslist hunt and bought one. I wouldn't say was the most knowledgeable man at the time, but I think he spent $500 on it, which wasn't too bad. And so the computer I ended up with when I was 16 years old was an FX 8310 system. It had an Asus motherboard in it, 8 gigs of RAM, a 1000-watt power supply. I think it had a 1 terabyte hard drive in there, and I'm like 80 or 90% sure that it had an old GTX 570 in it. I can't quite know that for sure because I didn't take pictures of it, and I can see little glimpses of it in the videos I have of it. But the reason I don't have it or really know about it is my first little attempt into messing with my computer was upgrading that into a different GPU, so I don't really know much about that one. So all of these now rather old and lackluster parts were wrapped up in this massive case. It was an Antec DF85. It's about 2 feet tall and weighs about as much as a small child would, so that was kind of interesting that my first computer was enormous, but I lugged that thing around for quite a while. It lasted me about 2 years, so I got very used to lifting this beast of a computer. So as I kind of briefly mentioned before, the first reason that I went into my computer was I wanted to, for one, clean it just to make sure it was all kind of working well and the thermals were okay. But I also, at some point, wanted to update the graphics card because I knew that that was kind of limiting me with the sparse amount of knowledge I had collected. So in my infinite wisdom as a 16-year-old lad, I recorded my first attempts into opening and messing with a computer, and it's a little cringy to go back and watch now because I have absolutely no idea what I'm talking about. So to have a little fun with it, we're going to do a lightning round of everything that I got wrong in the 3 or 4 minutes of video that I have from that time.
Just so I can see where everything plugs into, so we have 2 PCI plugs.
PCIe, but close.
There. We have something plugged in up there. I think that might be fan power. No, I don't know what that is.
Nope.
The PCI plugs in the power.
PCIe.
One other plug. There's this huge chain of adapters.
Why is everything an adapter?
We should look into that. There's a bunch of little adapters everywhere.
More adapters.
With the SATA cable, I think. And then this if I get an angle, is ground. Okay.
Ground. It's just ground.
I think that's all. I just need to show how absolutely filthy this is. This is my power supply, just covered. I just pulled something out. Just covered in dust.
Oh, that is disgusting.
Really hope I didn't break anything. Here's the working, redone computer. And here's all the excess wiring in the back, which I have to send.
That cable management. Excuse my dog, by the way.
And then here's all the LEDs. And looks like CPU fan is spinning.
Wait, CPU power is not plugged in.
That's interesting. It's supposed to be going. I'll check into that. These fans are going. These fans are going.
I wonder if it can't. It didn't post after this, did it?
I will check on that one. I think I know which one it is, which makes me a little bit pissed off. I think that's going out.
Okay, good. That one's out. What are the other ones?
Because this is definitely going in, I think.
Nope, that's definitely going out.
Yep. So this is taking air in and pushing it in. Ouch. Oh my god. That was stupid.
Classic.
These fans here are going out.
So obviously I had quite a bit to learn from there. I'm hopefully much more knowledgeable now, but I still stick my hands in fans occasionally because you never grow out of that idiocy. But now knowing that I could take it apart, put it back together again, and clean it, I was confident enough that I could switch out the GPU, so I scrimped some of my pre-adult savings and purchased a R9 290 for 120 bucks on eBay, because even as a young age, I knew that used tech was the way to go. So after putting in the new GPU, that really was the end of the upgrade path for that computer. The more that I looked into potentially upgrading it, the more I was just like, I just want to start from scratch and build my own. So it kind of sat like that for about 2 years. I used it to absolute death, and it carried me from my teenage years into my first job and moving out to my own place. And, you know, still lugging around this massive brick of a computer. So after about a year of working at a grocery store, which was just as exciting as you think it would be, I had finally saved up enough money that I was going to go out and build the ultimate PC that would last until I needed a cane to walk. Little did I know that a cane will not save these poor legs. But anyway, I went to Newegg and I made a list of everything I desired, and I built, well, this is the case from it, there's no longer any internals in it, but I built my ultimate 2016 gaming PC. So not only do I have all the parts that I ordered for this ultimate gaming PC, but I also have all the prices because I have the invoice email. So I thought it'd be a little interesting to see what I spent late 2016 on building a computer. This was right around the time that the Bitcoin mining was starting to pick up. I think that was early 2017 when that became a real big thing. So graphics card prices were a little bit high around then. But anyway, we have an i5 6500 at $204. We had a Gigabyte GAZ 170 for $104. That hurts. This one really hurts me. The Ballistic Sports LT 16 gigabytes of DDR4 RAM for $94. Yikes. The EVGA Supernova 750 watt power supply for $90. It's a little rough. And then this beautiful, lovely orange-themed case that just matches my personality. The Corsair Graphite 230T for $80. Then, finally, to wrap all this wonderful stuff up, we have the MSI Armor GTX 1070 for $340. But, fun fact, I originally put a Asus GTX 1070 like blower-style card in this computer, and 61 days into owning that card, with a 60-day warranty on it, that card kicked the bucket. Sadly, I had no idea what I was doing at the time, so I simply just went out and bought another GTX 1070. So, ouch. So after tax and shipping and a new copy of Windows, the computer came out to around $1,200, which is, I wouldn't say I did great in that little purchasing. They're all new parts though, so I have to keep that in mind. It definitely lasted me. I used this computer for 4 years after the fact when I first purchased it, and that carried me through a whole job and moving out again, and moving out again, and then starting a computer flipping business. So it definitely got its usefulness, and a few of its Frankenstein remains have ended up in the new computer, obviously. But this computer did get me into the PC flipping business, adventure, hobby, whatever you want to call this thing. So it kind of sat there, staring at me awkwardly from the corner of my desk, like, hey, you remember me? Remember me? You see all these computers? You upgrade them, you sell them, you make them look all nice, you cleaning all the time. What about me, man? What about me? I need some upgrades, man. It's been a while. It's been a few years. I've treated you so good, man. Why? I neglected this poor workhorse for quite a while. I don't think I upgraded it until 2019. So I was working off of a hard drive and some rather aging hardware. I mean, it was still pretty relevant, but that i5-6500 was really starting to annoy me in some applications. So at the end of 2019, where I was doing my computer flipping adventure anyway, my workhorse was in dire need of an upgrade. So I got it a 250 gigabyte SSD that I found used around, and then doing some more deal hunting, I found a pretty decent deal at a Micro Center where I could pick up a Ryzen 7 2700X and a Gigabyte B450 DS3H, I think is what it's called, for $180. Great deal. But the nearest Micro Center to me is 4 hours away, so that was a bit of a drive. So with that, I was like, I'm done. I don't really need anything more. I have a GTX 1070, which is perfectly fine for 1080p gaming at this point. I have the ultimate power of the Ryzen, which should definitely be able to do video editing and rendering and whatever CPU-heavy applications I wanted to run. So yeah, it was done. I wouldn't need to upgrade. Everything was good. Maybe at some point down the road, maybe a couple years down the road, I might want to upgrade just a little more. Maybe do some 1440p. You know, it's fine. Yeah, that's an outright lie. About 2 months later, or maybe not even 2 months later, I bought a lot of graphics cards from a cousin's friend of mine, and within that lot was the ultimate deity of the PC master race, the GTX 1080 Ti. When I built my computer, this was the dream card that everyone wanted. This was the card that Linus Tech Tips and all the other great tech YouTubers were putting in their systems at that time. It was the big boy. It was the 2080 Ti of now, and it was the 3080 Ti that will soon be a thing, or 3090. I have no idea what Nvidia is doing nowadays. But I certainly had a nostalgic attachment to this card, even though I never owned one, and I certainly wanted it, so it had to go in the system. So we're slapping in that GTX 1080 Ti, and now I'm done. I'm done. I don't need any more. I have the card I've always wanted. It will carry me through whatever I want to do. It has 11 gigabytes of VRAM. Do you really need any more? I mean, I'm lying. It wasn't much longer until I upgraded it again. Because, you know, as cool as this orange case is, and as lovely and as timeless as the design is, it was getting a little tired. It was getting a little sore on the eyes. So I was like, I'll upgrade my case. You know, maybe I'll give myself like a $60, $80 budget. I'll get a nice case. It will look cool. It will be great. So I picked the Be Quiet Pure Base 500 DX. It might not be the DX. I don't quite remember the model number because I'm lazy. But I liked the design. I liked the kind of simplistic LEDs. They're not all in your face. And I liked the be quietness of it. And it was white. I like white. It was going to be cool. Small problem though. It has a USB-C port on the front. And I am no pleb. I am not going to get some USB-C to USB 3.0 converter. That is for people that actually have sense in their head. So I went out and bought a $150 MSI X470 Gaming Pro motherboard, simply for the USB-C header on that motherboard. But I guess you could also argue the upgrade. It has much better power delivery, and you know, I can use that system then to upgrade the Ryzen processor down the road and not have to worry about it. It was a bit of an indulgence. I didn't really need it, but now I am done upgrading my computer. It is exactly how I want it. I'm sure that's a lie. I'm sure something will change here in the not too distant future. But without further ado, I'll show you the computer that I have now. So there you have it, 6 years of the computers I've been using, most of it being this computer, and now hopefully most of it being the one that I currently have set up at my desk. Honestly, I really see no reason to upgrade my computer for the core components. I might grab some more storage and stuff, especially with all the YouTube videos I'm doing. I'm kind of running out of back storage. I might get a slightly bigger SSD, kind of smaller things, but I think for a good while, that PC will do me just fine. Maybe if I get a good deal on some 3rd gen Ryzen, I might, a little. But kind of wrapping back to the beginning, it's a weird experience selling so many first-time PC users their computers and seeing their excitement and their questions and their minds start working through this hobby, passion thing that so many of us enjoy. And it just makes me think about the long journey I've had with all of my different computers. And if my 16-year-old self could see me now, not only with a personal computer that would probably make him cry, but with the office full of computer tech that he could only dream of, it makes me kind of proud to where I've gotten. I mean, it might be a little bit dumb or stupid to be proud of building computers and having a nice computer, but I mean, if you're watching this video, you're probably proud of your computer as well, so I think we can kind of keep that between us. But that about wraps it up, but with one small problem. I have not named my new computer. I forgot to mention, I lazily named this one Dennis. I don't know why. I don't really have any connection to the name Dennis. I think I was just lazy and someone told me or asked me what the name was and I was like, Dennis. And it was just referred to as Dennis from there. But I don't have a name for my new one. I've been kind of kicking around ideas, but I am creatively tapped out. So I was going to ask you, my dear viewers, to suggest names down below. If you are also creatively tapped out and don't have any ideas, you can look down in the comments section and upvote any of the names that you think are decent. And at some allotted amount of time, I will come back and I will check the comments and we will name the computer whatever is the most popular, unless it is obscene or weird or dumb. But with that actually is the end. I hope you guys enjoyed this little look into the Two Wheels Used Tech saga. Again, it's not exactly focused on the flipping business itself, but I find it rather interesting when I talk to people about where they've come with their computers and where they kind of started out with. So, if you learned something new, or you enjoyed the video, or you think this is interesting, hit that like button. If you think this was boring and self-indulging and kind of pointless, hit that dislike button. And if you want to see the continuation of my PC adventures past where it is now, hit that subscribe button and I will keep you up to date whenever I see fit. Without further ado, guys, have a good day.